If you want to be a consistent golfer, there's really one thing that you have to do really well, and that is make ball first, then turf contact every single time. Now I have a great visual in drill for you that's going to make this very simple. So what we want to understand is that this club works around our body in a circle, right? And there's a bottom point to that circle, often called the low point. And you can think of the center of that circle as being your left shoulder socket, or your lead shoulder socket for the lefties out there, right? So I need the bottom of this circle to be ahead of a few inches, and I need it to be slightly below the ground, right? So that means that I'm actually going to be hitting the golf ball on a downward angle of attack while my club's still working down to the bottom point of the circle. It's going to hit the ground pretty much at the golf ball, then it's going to work into the ground, and then a few inches in front of the ball, that's going to be the low point of my swing, and then the club's going to start to work up out of the ground. And that low point of the swing is going to be slightly below the golf ball, right? So that's the visual that we want to have, is that the circle is happening there. Now, when I see people really struggle with chunk shots, what's happening is that circle is occurring too far before the golf ball. You see, if my left shoulder is back here and my circle is happening here, it's happening like right in line with the golf ball, well, the only thing I can really do is just pick it right off the turf. If you're a picker, then odds are your circle is happening right at the golf ball. And your best case scenario is to pick it off the turf. You're likely going to be hitting a lot of thin shots and a lot of chunk shots, because if you hit much of the turf at all, right, that circle is going to be getting into the ground before the golf ball. Right? So if I want to make ball then turf contact, I need the circle to be in front, the low point of the circle to be toward the target, a few inches, and I need it to be slightly below the golf ball in the ground. And a lot of times if I'm way too far away, right, way too angled away, I'll miss the turf and then I'll top it. So if you're struggling with topping, this is also probably a major issue for you. And this occurs with every club in your bag. Any club that you are hitting off of the turf, if you are struggling, chunking, thinning, topping, most likely your circle, the bottom of your circle, is just not happening in the right place. Actually, I can guarantee you that your circle is not happening in the right place. Just the physics of it is, it's just not possible to hit it really, really solid unless you have it below. Now, if you have the ball sitting up on a tee, the ball is elevated out of the ground, right? You don't have to hit the ground because it's elevated. But if your ball is on the turf, sitting on the turf, you have to have your circle in front and a little bit below the golf ball. So how do we do this? So a big issue that I see with people is what they'll do is they'll actually get their lead shoulder kind of going in front of the golf ball as they go up to the top. So they may be preemptively trying to get their weight shift forward. The problem with that is we're going to tend to undo that in the backswing. We're going to go here, and then we're going to fall away, and now my circle is ending up behind the golf ball, right? So what I want to do is I want to make sure that my left shoulder is behind the golf ball, or at least in line with the golf ball at the top, so that way I can move it down and forward, so that way I can get my circle to be below it. So that's number one. I want to get my shoulder behind or in line with the golf ball. The other thing that does is it helps you get a good turn. You know, at Top Speed Golf, we talk about getting a good power turn as a part of the Top Speed Golf system. If you're not familiar with what the Top Speed Golf system is, it's our 5 major pieces of the golf swing. This is one of them, getting a good shoulder turn. So if we can get a good shoulder turn, that's going to get our left shoulder, our lead shoulder, behind the golf ball. So it's going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. You're going to be able to make consistently ball first contact, and you're also going to get a lot of power from getting a good power turn, right? So that's number one. I want to make sure that I go up to the top, that my lead shoulder is behind the golf ball. Now I want to do that by turning my hips and turning my shoulders. So when I'm turning my hips, I want to be kind of straightening out my trail leg here, straightening out a little bit. I want to be pushing my hip back and around. I want to let this lead knee kind of kick in a little bit. That's going to allow me to turn my hips, and then I can get my shoulder back behind the golf ball. What I don't want to do is this. Like this, if I just bend over this way, that's going to put me in a bad spot. I'm going to tend to hit behind it. I want to turn my body. I want to keep everything nice and centered here and turn my body and turn my shoulder behind the ball. So that's number one, all right? Number two is now in the downswing, I want to push into my lead side a little bit to get my lead shoulder a little bit ahead of the golf ball. And I also want to move my lead shoulder down a little bit so that way my swing arc can get below the golf ball a little bit. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to push down and forward a little bit. You can see it's not a lot. I'm not sliding my body way forward here. That's not what we want to do. I'm just getting a little bit of a lateral movement. Basically what I want to make sure that I'm doing is I'm keeping my lead hip inside my ankle. I don't want my lead hip to go outside my ankle, because otherwise I'm going to kind of stand up and go like that. I'm not going to be able to turn my body through. All right, so I'm going to go here, nice and centered, turn that lead shoulder behind the ball. I'm going to move down and forward, keep my hip inside my ankle, and then from there, I'm going to imagine that the low point of my swing is a few inches in front of the golf ball. So if you are working at home, you know, hitting off of a mat or something like that, what you can do is you can place a towel on the ground about a foot, or not a foot, about a club head width in front of the golf ball. You just place a towel right there. If you come down and you clip the towel, you know you're doing something wrong. If you come down and you miss the towel and you hit that ground in front, you're in good shape. You could use a piece of plastic, you know, a plastic cutting board. I like using those. They're nice and flat, and then you get a nice audible click when you hit them. It's not going to damage your club. You know, I wouldn't recommend using like a, you know, like a marble cutting board or something like that. Just something plastic, you know, like a plexi type of material. That's going to be really, really good for something like this. So those are all things that you can do. There's also lots of training aids out there. There's a divot board that you can use. I'll put a link for the divot board below this video if you're interested in getting one of those. I don't have one handy otherwise. Actually, I do have one handy. Let me grab this one. So this is, I didn't even see this over there. We just had it sitting out here because we use it all the time. So this is also an awesome training aid to help you know whether you're hitting the ground and turf first. So you can see here, if I brush this way, it's basically like sequence, and you place the ball where the yellow dot is here, and then boom, I can come down and I can clearly see where I'm coming down and hitting the turf. If you're on real turf, right, what you can do is you can just place a tee in the ground, or you can take some foot power spray and spray a line in the ground, or you can take a tee and rough up a line in the turf. There's lots of things you can do. Just put some sort of visible line, so that way you can see where your club came down, interacted with the turf, and came through. But this divot board's awesome. If you don't want to mess up your grass at home, you want to get some good work at home, or if you are going to a range, you know, most ranges these days, they have mats. You know, turf is just hard to take care of when you have a lot of people hitting off them and taking divots on them all day long. So a lot of the ranges out there have mats like this, have something like this to be able to tell you whether you're hitting the ball. Then the turf you can see there, that's exactly what I would want. I'd want the divot to start right in the middle of that. Anywhere in that circle is really good if you have the ball there, but that's what I'd want, a nice square divot, everything looking good. So it's giving you great feedback. So again, I'll put a link to this below the video. Full disclosure, we do get a small commission for everyone that you buy from our link, but that just helps us to keep making great content for you. So again, what I'm going to do, and you can just do this at home with the divot board, is you can go up to the top of the swing, lead shoulder, right in line with the ball, good shoulder turn. I'm nice and centered here. I'm going to shift a little bit forward, and then I'm going to come down. Now I even hit way too far ahead there, you know, because I'm really focused on getting, and that's exaggerating. You know, if I can exaggerate and get it really far ahead, then I can get this working really, really good. So I would just work on, you know, exaggerating it and then getting it to inch closer and closer and closer to that. You know, a lot of times we hit off mats and we'll hit the ground way back here. It'll slide on the turf and hit the ball, and we have no idea whether, you know, that we chunked it or not. It felt like a great shot, but the problem is you take that out to the course and it's chunk city, right? Whereas if you have a divot board, it's going to tell you right away if it's a chunk or a thin or not. So that's what I do, is I just get in lots of reps, going up to the top, pause, and then coming down, hitting the ground in a good spot, getting that lead shoulder forward. If you focus on that lead shoulder, getting behind the ball at the top, then moving down and forward, I'm telling you, it's a very, very simple way to make sure that you're getting that ball first contact. Not to mention, really good compressed downward angle of attack contact as well. You're going to feel like it's much more compressed when you're doing that. So really, really good way to help you to get that working together. And then I would just work toward minimizing the pause. You know, I'm taking a hard pause here at the top and then moving down and forward. What I would do from there is I would just minimize the pause. Just take a little beat at the top, right? Just one little beat and then come down and then gradually take away the beat to make it more of a fluid swing. So, you know, that would look maybe something more like this, where I'm going up to the top and then I'm moving down and forward and I'm hitting the ground. I just barely nicked the turf there. I'd really want to make sure that I'm getting into the turf a little bit. Now, I don't want to slam the club into the turf. I just want to come through and feel like a nice, good sweeping of the turf as I'm coming through there when I'm hitting off of a mat. Off a real turf, I'd want to see like a nice shallow divot, almost like I took a scalpel and I just cut like a 1/4 inch of the layer off the turf on there. That's what I'd be looking for if I was hitting off of real turf. So lots of ways. Make sure that you're using feedback when you're working on this, because then there's just no way to know whether you're doing it correctly. There is one problem that I see with a lot of players that struggle with this, is they'll tend to really rush the downswing. They're kind of ringing the bell as they're coming down. So if you go up to the top and you really rush the downswing, and that's what could be really good about taking the pauses at the top, because it can help you to quit rushing the downswing. But there's also lots of other things that can really make you rush the downswing. And I have a great bonus video for you where Clay Ballard, the founder of Top Speed Golf, is really going to help you to stop ringing that bell and help you to stop rushing the downswing. So if you want to see a preview of that video, I'm going to play that here in just a second. But if you want to see the whole video, all you have to do is click the link, the iCard that's going to appear up on your screen. If you don't see the iCard, no worries. There's going to be a link below the video, as well as a link for the divot board if you want to get one of those. So play well, and I'll talk to you soon.
The bottom line is that if you pull this club down to ring that bell or pull the hands more from the inside, what's going to happen is you start to rush your downswing from that pulling, and that can throw off your sequence. And we all know that once your sequence gets off, that is going to be the root cause of all your problems. Now, maybe you're being outdriven way too often, or you're terribly inconsistent with your strikes. Some of your shots are heavy, some of them are thin, some of them are off the toe, and then the next ones are way off the heel. Now you end up way over in the trees, you're in the tall grass, or maybe even the hazards all day long, and it really comes down to this. Clay, how in the heck do we fix it? Well, there's some good news. Well, there's only two things that you need to learn. First, you need to learn to shallow the club rather than pulling the hands down and getting the shaft in this steep position. You see, there's another way that the pros do this, and once you start to get that club on this shallower plane, more from the inside, then you pair that up with the right way to square the club face. And once you put these two things together, everything starts to fit in your swing. Now, your buddies will start to get a little bit jealous because you'll start hitting solid, longer drives, time after time, and round after round. Now, I'm going to teach you this right now on what I call the E-slot technique. Let's walk through exactly how to do it. So here's what I want you to do. Go ahead and take a swing to the top and get in a really good position. I want you to feel like your weight is mostly shifted to your right side and that your hips and shoulders are nice and free. I don't want to be locked up here. I want my knees to move, my hips to move, and that's going to allow me to swing my shoulders very nicely. Now, one thing that most people get wrong when they swing to the top is they don't get this tilt away from the target. So instead of being straight up and down or leaning to the left, I want to be slightly tilted away in what I call the stable fluid spine in my Top Speed Golf system. Okay, so now that you're at this great position at the top of the swing, what I want you to do is instead of pulling those arms straight down or ringing the bell, that's going to get the club shaft steep and get this elbow kind of flapping behind your body. I want you to do something very specific. I want you to take the tip of your elbow and move it in a specific way. Now, not this small bone on the inside of your elbow, but I want it to be right here at the tip, and here's what I want you to do.